I think we're getting absolutely nothing that's authentic out of this. I mean, I think watching it was quite disappointing because you don't actually get that look into her life that you think you're going to get or you thought you were going to get when the series first said that it was going to launch.
I've met a couple of times her ex-husband. I'm sure
Meghan's?
Yes, I met him like personally. We met in the lobby of the Soho House in Chicago and just sort of like flirted and then started talking and then met once in LA. Very briefly, we talked about doing a project. He said his ex was a woman from a show called Suits. I didn't know what the show was. I didn't know the woman. Months later, I see pictures in Us Weekly of Harry's dating someone, and I text him to be like, is this your ex? And he's like, yup. And I'm like,
Meghan Markle's ex, Trevor, is set to be releasing a tell-all book which will expose secrets from their marriage.
Before the royal spotlight, before the headlines took over everything, Meghan Markle was living a completely different life, and this part of her story is only now getting attention. It all starts in Chicago with a man named Joe Giuliano, someone most people have never even heard about, but who was once a major part of her life. According to claims being discussed, their relationship wasn't flashy or public at all. It was quiet, almost hidden, and that's exactly what's raising eyebrows now. Joe wasn't famous or powerful, just someone who, at one point, was very close to Meghan long before the world ever knew her name. At first, things seemed simple. Two young people figuring life out, caught up in that early excitement. But people connected to Joe's side started noticing small things that didn't quite add up. There were moments where details seemed to shift, timelines felt unclear, and certain stories didn't fully line up the way expected.
Who is Meghan Markle's ex-husband? Hard to sum up a relationship in 60 seconds, but we'll give it a go. So, his name is Trevor Engelson. He is an American actor and producer. He was born in New York and raised in Los Angeles, and one of his most renowned film credits is Remember Me, starring Robert Pattinson. Here's a throwback photo of Meghan with Trevor. Meghan and Trevor met in 2004. They dated for 6 years, then they got engaged in 2010. Married in Jamaica with a beachfront ceremony which reportedly went on for a whopping 4 days and was attended by over 100 guests. Here's a peek at what their wedding looked like. They tied the knot in 2011. Meghan was 30 and Trevor was 35 at the time. Meghan and Trevor got divorced in 2013. It's not really known why, but it's thought that distance came between them. Here's a picture of them on their wedding day. So there you have it.
One situation that keeps getting mentioned is a claim about when Meghan finished school. Some say the timeline she shared didn't fully match available records, and that sparked quiet questions behind the scenes. At first, it may have looked like a small mix-up, but as more little inconsistencies were noticed, it reportedly made people look closer. There were also ongoing claims suggesting she may have adjusted details about her age or background, though nothing has ever been officially confirmed. Still, these conversations alone seem to change how Joe's family viewed the situation at the time. Now here's where things really get interesting. Reports suggest there may have been a low-key wedding in Las Vegas. No big announcement, no public celebration, nothing flashy. And just as quickly as it allegedly happened, it was over. No photos, no records easily found, and everything seemed to disappear almost overnight. After that, Joe stayed completely out of the spotlight. No interviews, no public statements, nothing. Meanwhile, as Meghan's fame grew through television and later into royal life, people who remembered that earlier chapter started asking questions again.
Meghan Markle's ex, Trevor, is set to be releasing a tell-all book which will expose secrets from their marriage. So you may or may not know that the couple were married in 2011, but they divorced 2 years later and cited irreconcilable differences. I can't say that as the issue. Trevor has now gone on to remarry a multi-millionaire heiress, and they share 2 daughters. And Meghan's also remarried, but I can't think of who she's married to. Someone called, is it Prince Harry? That's the one. And obviously they have 2 children together. But now it's been revealed that a royal author named Tom Bower is going to release a biography, and it's going to include discussions he's had in it with Meghan's ex, Trevor. Experts weighing in on what the book might say think Trevor might have an axe to grind and might actually dish the dirt on his marriage with Meghan. Royal experts continue to say that it must be terrifying for Meghan to know that this book is coming out.
Why does this part of the story feel so hidden? Was it just a private moment that faded away, or something more carefully kept out of view? Even now, years later, this chapter still has people talking, trying to figure out what really happened behind the scenes. Let's get into the side of the story that doesn't get talked about much, the part behind the polished image where things weren't as perfect as they looked. Because according to some claims, there was always more going on beneath the surface. People say Meghan had this natural charm that pulled you in instantly. The kind of presence that made everything she said feel convincing. But at the same time, a few voices have suggested that behind that confidence, there may have been a more calculated side that not everyone fully trusted. Now, looking at Joe Giuliano's family, they were deeply rooted in tradition. A tight-knit Italian-American household in Chicago built on routine, respect, and keeping things private. Sundays meant family dinners, and problems stayed inside the home, not shared for attention. That kind of environment doesn't shift easily. So when Meghan entered their world, she stood out right away. She had big dreams, big energy, and a clear focus on building something for herself.
So it is neither just nor practical for their voices, for our voices, to go unheard at the highest levels of decision making. The way that we change that, in my opinion, is to mobilize girls and women to see their value as leaders and to support them in these efforts. To have leaders such as President Kagame of Rwanda continue to be a role model of a country which has a parliamentary system comprised of 64% female leaders. It's unbelievable.
Talking about acting, writing, and getting noticed, she brought a completely different mindset into a very grounded family space. At first, that difference actually felt exciting, something new, something refreshing. But over time, according to people close to the situation, that excitement slowly turned into quiet concern. Not because of what she said, but how everything seemed perfectly delivered, almost too polished to feel natural. One person even claimed she could look you in the eye and make you believe anything, which, depending on how you see it, could be confidence or something else entirely. As time went on, the gap between both worlds became harder to ignore. Meghan's focus seemed to stay on opportunities, auditions, connections, visibility. Meanwhile, Joe's family stayed focused on stability, routine, and long-term commitment. And that difference started showing in small ways. Fewer visits, missed family moments, less time spent in Chicago. What once felt like connection slowly turned into distance. There were also quiet concerns being shared. Some believed her ambitions were growing in a direction that didn't leave much space for Joe long-term. One comment that stands out is someone saying she didn't want roots, she wanted wings. And that idea alone really explains the tension that was building. Joe's father, known for his traditional views, reportedly tried to explain his perspective.
Meghan Markle's first marriage ended in her divorce, and her second marriage, it could be good or bad. It's really up in the air. Love Meghan Markle, seriously sending love to that woman. But her first marriage ended in a divorce, which ended up freeing her to move to the UK, fall in love with the prince, and rewriting her own story on her own terms. She's also now doing things that just aligns with her values.
He believed relationships are built on consistency, shared effort, and everyday life, not attention or status. But it seems like Meghan may have had a much bigger vision for her future. And as that vision grew, the connection with the family appeared to fade. Conversations became shorter, visits more uncomfortable, and the warmth that once existed slowly disappeared. By the time everything fully shifted, it didn't feel like she was part of the family anymore. More like someone passing through, already focused on what came next. Years later, when Meghan's name became globally known, those earlier memories started resurfacing. Some people claimed they saw the signs early, while others questioned whether she was simply misunderstood by a family that valued a completely different way of life. And honestly, that's where the debate still sits. Was this a case of clashing values, or something deeper that people are only now starting to question? Or were they actually some of the first people to notice a side of Meghan that the public only started questioning years later? That's the part that still has people thinking. Because no matter which version you believe, one thing keeps coming up. Joe Giuliano's family didn't step back out of anger. According to what's being said, it came from disappointment and emotional distance. They had welcomed her in, hoping she would truly become part of their world, but as her ambitions grew stronger, it started to feel like their paths were heading in completely different directions. Some say the family still avoids talking about that time altogether. Others think they've already moved on and made peace with it. But what stands out is this: long before the global fame, the interviews, and the royal attention, there were already quiet conversations happening in Chicago. And those conversations weren't loud or dramatic. They were low, private, almost whispered, not coming from jealousy, but from confusion.
I've met a couple times her ex-husband. I'm sure
Meghan's?
Yes, I met him personally. We met in the lobby of the Soho House in Chicago and just sort of flirted and then started talking and then met once in LA. Very briefly, we talked about doing a project. He said his ex was a woman from a show called Suits. I didn't know what the show was. I didn't know the woman. Months later, I see pictures in Us Weekly of Harry's dating someone, and I text him to be like, is this your ex? And he's like, yup. And I'm like, I go, you think she's going to close? And he's like, oh, she'll close. And I don't want to get into more about that, but he was like, she'll close. So I thought she was wonderful. It was so great for the monarchy. I liked the message, all the things. When they left, I was really more just talking about their decisions. It just seemed like had they been managed properly, it would have been such a different outcome.
Because sometimes the hardest thing isn't seeing someone change, it's realizing you may not have fully known them in the first place. Now, this is where the story gets even deeper. There are claims about a hidden chapter that never fully made it into the public eye. A relationship that started warm but ended in total silence. A moment in time that, according to some, was carefully kept out of sight. Back in the mid-90s, Meghan was already described as focused, driven, and determined to build something bigger for herself. At the same time, Joe's world stayed rooted in tradition, privacy, and strong family values. That contrast didn't explode overnight. It slowly built up. Their Las Vegas wedding, often described as small and low-key, was reportedly full of excitement at the start. But once the moment passed and everyday life set in, things began to shift quietly. No big arguments, no public fallout, just a slow change in energy. Then come the more serious claims that have been circulating. Some people connected to the story have suggested there were private family decisions made behind closed doors. No shouting, no chaos, just a calm but heavy conversation that changed everything. One of the biggest rumors floating around is about a child, with some saying a baby girl may have been born during that time. However, it's important to say clearly, this has never been confirmed publicly, and there are no verified records tying that claim to Meghan directly. Still, people have pointed to small details like neighbors remembering a child being present at family gatherings but never clearly introduced, always described vaguely, never explained. And then nothing. No official trace, no follow-up. Just silence. Joe, according to these discussions, stayed close to his family and kept things private. Meanwhile, Meghan was said to be moving forward, focusing on education, auditions, and building her career step by step.
Markle definitely got the short end of the stick when it came to how she was treated by the British royals and British press. With that said, girlfriend is not doing herself any favors to ingratiate herself on the other side of the Atlantic. Markle's latest eye-rolling incident came when she was interviewed for a cover story by Harper's Bazaar magazine. The kinda sorta royal met with the magazine's reporter in one of those big fancy brownstones on Manhattan's Upper East Side. And as the journalist entered the room, Markle had a staff member announce her by her royal title, the Duchess of Sussex. Like the way the president gets announced walking into the State of the Union, only there was no one else in the room. It was just the two of them and some poor sap shouting the Duchess of Sussex into a mostly empty space. Now, this interview was the second sit-down in as many weeks. Before this one, the reporter met with Markle at Polo Bar in Beverly Hills. Quite the hotspot. There's one in New York. If you haven't heard of this, it's impossible to get into. These two sat at a prime table at a prime hotspot where they could be seen by everyone. The interviewer called it a, quote, calculated choice.
From one perspective, it looks like someone chasing opportunity. From another, it looks like someone leaving everything behind. And that's where opinions really split. One comment that keeps resurfacing says, she didn't just leave him. She left everything that made her one of us. And that line alone shows how personal this became for those involved. When everything finally ended, it didn't play out in public. No headlines, no dramatic fallout, just a quiet legal separation, handled privately and sealed away. And according to those familiar with the situation, it all came down to one condition: silence. From what's being said, the agreement was simple. Meghan would move forward with a clean slate, and the Giuliano family would keep everything locked down in silence. Whether anything was exchanged behind the scenes is still unclear. Some say yes, others say it didn't matter at all. What mattered most, according to these claims, was making sure that entire chapters stayed out of public view. But here's the thing, silence doesn't always erase everything. Inside the Giuliano home, people say the emotional weight never fully disappeared. Certain rooms stayed untouched, memories lingered, and one big question kept hanging in the air. Why? To the outside world, Meghan later appeared as someone who built her life from the ground up, focused, polished, and in control of her image. But to those who remember that earlier chapter, she was seen very differently. Someone who had a place, a family, and then walked away before anyone else could see it. So what really pushed things to that point? That's where this story takes another turn. By the time the Giuliano family left Chicago, it wasn't just a normal move. According to neighbors, it felt sudden, almost too quiet. No goodbyes, no clear destination, just a moving truck. Early in the morning, and then nothing. By midday, the house that once felt alive was completely empty. People nearby started talking, trying to make sense of it. Some guessed there were personal issues involved. Others thought maybe the family just wanted a fresh start somewhere else. But what really kept the story alive wasn't just that they left. It was how clean the disappearance felt. Then comes one of the strangest details people still bring up. A neighbor named Clara reportedly received a small package months later with no return address. It was sent from a coastal town in southern Italy. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet engraved with one name, Lucia.
I think we're getting absolutely nothing that's authentic out of this. I mean, I think watching it was quite disappointing because you don't actually get that look into her life that you think you're going to get, or you thought you were going to get when the series first said that it was going to launch. I mean, it's really this sort of charade of her playing a part in a home that's not her own, with people that she doesn't quite know. Some of them are her friends, some are on payroll. I just didn't see the Meghan that I was expecting to see, and it was absolutely not relatable. That was the main thing I was looking for in this. Meghan presents herself as this girl next door, but what we really got was this sort of person who's living in a Montecito palace, out of touch from reality.
Now here's where it gets confusing. No one connected to the family had ever mentioned that name before. Not friends, not relatives, no one. It seemed to come out of nowhere. Clara, unsure what to make of it, allegedly took the bracelet to her local priest. And according to her account, his reaction was immediate and serious. He told her to get rid of it and not ask any more questions. That moment alone made everything feel even more mysterious. After that, the rumors really started spreading. Some people claimed the family had relocated to Italy under different names. Others believed they were spotted in Canada months later. But beneath all the theories, one particular claim kept coming back again and again. The idea that the name Lucia might be connected to Meghan herself. Now, it's important to be clear, this has never been confirmed and there's no official evidence supporting it. But people pointed to small gaps in timelines, especially during her early years, that they found unusual. One detail that keeps getting mentioned is a missing period during her college timeline. Some say it's just a simple gap, nothing unusual. Others think it raises questions that were never fully answered. Still, all of this sits firmly in the category of speculation, not fact.
Whoa, okay. The House and Habit bombshell investigation into Meghan Markle is close to dropping. Lauren, the insider, is with me now. Lauren, I've been speaking to Jessica Reed-Krause for many months about this. For people who don't know, she is a wonderful woman, in my opinion. Understand she's very controversial. She used to run a mummy blog. She has increasingly become highly political, very connected to the Donald Trump administration. But this is a woman who drops truth bombs and who always keeps the receipts. And for some time, she has been promising major revelations to come on Meghan Markle, on Meghan Markle's past. And what we've seen overnight, Lauren, in a series of Instagram stories which precede what the investigation will reveal is quite something. So I think we should go through it, Lauren, and then we'll discuss what this is potentially going to mean.
But the mystery keeps people talking because of how many small details seem to connect in strange ways. Meanwhile, the Giuliano family themselves seem to completely vanish. Their phone numbers stopped working, records went quiet, and even extended family reportedly lost contact. It wasn't just distance, it felt like a full reset. Years later, small traces reportedly started appearing overseas. Things like financial records closing, property documents signed under unfamiliar names, and sightings of a quiet couple living near the coast in Italy. Some locals described a woman with a calm but strict presence introducing herself as Anna Lucia, which only added more layers to the mystery. But again, none of this has ever been officially confirmed, and that's what keeps this story alive. Not clear answers, but unanswered questions. A timeline with gaps, a family that disappeared, and a chapter that, even now, still feels just out of reach. The man was said to go by Joseph, quiet, polite, always aware of his surroundings. And with him, there was reportedly a young girl who kept to herself, rarely speaking, and never attending local school.
This is what we needed, Dan. You know, the news agenda has aged me rapidly. Like, this is what we need to see. We need to see some investigations into Meghan up.
Indeed we do, because there have been so many questions about her past for some time, so many suggestions. Was she operating as a yacht girl? How was she making her money? How was she traveling around the world? Maybe we're going to get some of those answers from House and Habit. So let me take you through all of these Instagram stories, Lauren. So here she said, this folder has been in my draft since 2018. Now, they are the grabs of a couple of videos, which I have been very public about the fact that I have witnessed these videos before, and they do show the fake Duchess in a state of undress. Then she's pointing to this folder in her drafts, MM, clearly Meghan Markle, yacht girl. She says this has been in her draft since 2018, which means that this is a 8-year investigation.
People in the area noticed how often she would sit by the water, just staring out like she was waiting for something. Or someone. Now in southern Italy, people don't push for answers. Privacy is everything, and secrets are treated like something valuable, kept safe, and never spoken about openly. But even in a place used to mystery, the Giuliano family reportedly stood out. They lived simply, kept a low profile, and avoided attention completely. There was even a moment during a local festival where a group photo was being taken, and Joseph stepped aside, gently keeping the child out of the frame. He smiled, but people say it didn't feel like a relaxed moment. It felt intentional. Years later, when people started digging into Meghan's earlier timeline, they noticed things that didn't fully connect. Missing periods, sealed records, and one particular photo that caught attention. The image, reportedly taken near Lake Como in the late 90s, shows Meghan walking along a narrow path. But behind her, slightly out of focus, there appears to be a man holding a young girl's hand. His face isn't clear, but something about his posture raised questions.
One of us has been quietly tracking the cover-up for 8 years. So again, these words really matter, Lauren, because what she is suggesting is that for 8 years, there has been a cover-up involving the truth of Meghan Markle, which presumably would also, in some ways, bring in the royal family and the mainstream media and Meghan's PR operation. She then went on to say, collecting sources and filing away testimony from all the people she's treated horribly. And this is the thing when it comes to Meghan, there are so many people who want to speak out. House and Habit, Jessica Reed-Krause said Scorpios don't sleep, they plot, sometimes for years. There was then a smirking emoji. So she's going to have some fun with this. This was, of course, the footage of Meghan from this event in Hollywood on Saturday night. But this is probably the most specific hint about the bombshells that might be to come from this House and Habit investigation. Jessica Reed-Krause writes, I have all the scrubbed info.
And then, just as quickly as it appeared, the image reportedly disappeared from public access. That alone made people look even closer. From there, the speculation only grew. Some suggested the Giuliano family may have been connected to something that was never meant to come out. Others believed it was simply a case of private lives being kept private. But the more people searched, the more the trail seemed to fade. Records became harder to find, details became unclear, and conversations often ended with silence. Back in Chicago, that old house connected to the family is still talked about. People say it feels frozen in time, like everything just stopped one day and never restarted. Neighbors still remember how sudden everything was and how nothing was ever explained. Meanwhile, in parts of Italy, the name Giuliano still comes up quietly in conversation. Not loudly, not openly, but enough to keep the mystery alive. Some believe the family didn't disappear to run away, but to protect something. And that idea alone has kept people guessing for years. Now here's where things take another turn. Decades later, the story didn't fully disappear. It just went quiet. And then in 2024, a freelance journalist named Aaron Vale reportedly came across something unexpected while researching unrelated records in Rome. At first, it looked like routine paperwork, old documents, incomplete files, nothing unusual. But then certain details started repeating, blurred dates, redacted names, and one surname that kept showing up, Giuliano. That's when things started to feel less like coincidence. Aaron began looking deeper, checking immigration logs, church records, even expired identification documents. And according to what's been shared, all of it pointed toward a family that had once lived quietly in southern Italy before disappearing again. Locals reportedly remembered a couple, Joseph and Anna Lucia Giuliano, who kept to themselves and then suddenly left without explanation. But what stood out most wasn't just their exit, it was how little trace they left behind. Then something unexpected happened. One evening, Aaron received an anonymous message. No text, no explanation, just a single photo. It showed a woman standing near a flower stall on a quiet street somewhere in Italy. Her face partially covered, but next to her stood a younger woman with a soft smile. And according to Aaron, the resemblance between that younger woman and Meghan was striking. Not identical, but enough to raise serious questions. The metadata on the image reportedly dated it to 2015. That timing alone caught attention, coming just a couple of years before Meghan's engagement to Prince Harry. So naturally, the question started forming, was this just a coincidence or something more connected? After that, things reportedly went quiet again. Attempts to follow up were met with silence, missing records, and conversations that ended before they could begin. And that's where the story sits now. Not confirmed, not proven, but filled with small details that keep people curious. A quiet family, a sudden disappearance, missing pieces in a timeline, and a photo that raised more questions than answers. At the center of it all is a story that refuses to fully fade, one that keeps resurfacing in fragments, leaving people to decide for themselves what's real and what might just be speculation. Even the people who were once open to answering questions suddenly started stepping back, claiming they knew nothing at all. But at the same time, new details were quietly surfacing in places like Milan, and that's where things started to feel even more complicated. One report mentioned a notary confirming a sealed legal transfer connected to a trust that couldn't be traced, and the name attached to it, once again, it pointed back to Giuliano. That alone had people raising eyebrows because it suggested there might still be active ties somewhere behind the scenes. Then there was another moment that didn't go unnoticed. A British newspaper briefly mentioned a confidential visit by a royal representative to Italy, but just hours later, the article was suddenly pulled. No explanation, no follow-up, just gone. And naturally, that only made people question things even more. On top of that, there were quiet rumors about a young woman applying for dual citizenship. What stood out was the detail she reportedly listed her father's surname as Giuliano and her birthplace as Los Angeles. Now again, nothing here has been officially confirmed, but details like that definitely got people talking. When one older priest who had spent years near Naples was asked about the Giuliano name, his response was short but powerful. He simply said, "You cannot bury the truth. It grows roots even in stone." And that line alone has stuck with people ever since. Meanwhile, journalist Aaron Vale is said to still be searching for answers. He believes that mysterious photo wasn't random at all, but possibly a missing piece connecting two very different worlds, one public and global, the other quiet and carefully hidden. And then there's that image again, the woman near the flower stall, the younger figure beside her, the resemblance that people can't stop debating. Was it just coincidence, or something more that hasn't been fully explained yet? At this point, yes. Everything sits in that gray area between confirmed facts and ongoing speculation. There are no clear answers, just patterns, claims, and questions that keep coming back. So now it comes down to you. What do you think really happened between Meghan Markle and Joe Giuliano's family? Was this simply a case of different paths and private choices, or is there more to the story that hasn't come to light yet? Drop your thoughts below, because this one definitely has people divided. And if you want more stories like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Also, check out the video you see on your screen right now. It dives even deeper into celebrity drama and stories people can't stop talking about. See you in the next one.